the Woats.
That is a bigger impact. Away. This is the key to Mazepin. Martin. Ooh.
We all know him. And in a weird way, we kinda love him, never failing to give us hilarious moments and wild stories.
Right, so. Oh, no!
Especially in those boring domination seasons. But once they're out, we never hear from them again. Until today. What happened to them after those absolutely embarrassing and stupid moments? Did they hang up their boots for good, or actually bounce back somewhere else? I've researched every one of them, and let's just say they'll never stop surprising us. I had to kick things off with the woat of all woats, Mr. Mazepin. With a pretty forgettable road to F1, his best results being second in GP3 in 2018 and third in the F3 Asian Championship. Mazepin, or should I say Daddy Mazepin, bought him a seat at Haas in 2021. And with this atrocity, to call it something, it was like Putin himself was running his own propaganda in F1. After a whole season of dumb mistakes,
So, oh, no! 40 miles away. This is the key to Mazepin.
and basically making everyone hate him.
Let's kids.
What the fuck was that? Honestly, seriously.
This guy's idiot, like.
Obviously, with Daddy's cash behind him, he got renewed for 2022.
Send official letter that we are stop financing and stop racing. It will be a huge problem with the money.
But surprise, surprise. Yeah, not only was Daddy giving him all the cash, but it was pretty sketchy money too, to say the least. But honestly, no one really cared when he was booted off the grid. No one except himself, of course.
As you know, I have lost my contract to compete in the Formula 1 World Championship this year. At first, the FIA, the highest governing body, has allowed me to compete as long as I'm a neutral athlete. But then, the team has cancelled my contract.
Calm down, kiddo. Just calm down. When you're the son of an oligarch, no is never an acceptable answer for you. So, after getting the boot, he started the We Competers 1 Fund, a cheap knockoff of F1's We Racers 1 from 2020 during COVID, but with very different goals.
I have decided to make a foundation that will be supporting athletes that have lost their chance to compete in a sport at the highest level because of a non-sporting decision. We will be providing jobs, financial support, psychological and legal aid in case the athletes wish to debate their position. The foundation will be called We Compete as One.
Honestly, I don't even know how they did anything because I've barely found any news about the foundation. Even their website stopped updating at the end of 2023 after posting less than 15 articles. It all seems shady as f. Likewise, he and his daddy went to court to lift the sanctions from the UK, Canada, and the EU, all to desperately get back into F1. But obviously, that didn't go anywhere. Finally throwing in the towel on trying to mess up F1 again, Mazepin decided to focus on rallying, something he's always been into and had already done some testing for in 2021. He started training with Sergei Karyakin, a former Dakar quad category winner, and in 2022 he made his debut at the Ladoga Trophy before jumping into Silkway Rally a month later. Mazepin raced in a Can-Am, like this one in the T3 category, and believe it or not, he actually won in his class and even snagged a stage victory. Yep, Mazepin winning. I can't even believe I'm actually saying this. In 2023 he kept competing in Russian rallies, as he wasn't able to race anywhere else, and he came in second at the Baja Astrakhan and then again at the 2024 Denis Daviadov Baja. They were really good results, right? Here's the deal. Either Mazepin suddenly became low, or the competition was very weak. I'll let you decide. But rallying wasn't the only thing Mazepin had cooking. I mean, he had to do something with Daddy's cash. At the end of 2022, he started 99 Racing, a team that made its debut in the 2023 Asian Le Mans Series, competing in the LMP2 class. And honestly, they didn't do too bad, snagging 2 podiums in 4 races, finishing 4th out of the 9 teams. The next year, they stepped it up, with 2 wins and another podium, coming in 3rd out of 13 teams, just 1 point shy of the runners-up. Not too shabby, but again, I wouldn't say it's exactly the highest level of competition, but hey, at least Mazepin has somehow managed to rebuild his career, with Daddy's cash of course. But someone who never ever got his career back on track was Taki Inouye.
The curb, the car hops a little bit, gets sideways, he gets...
Un peu usé.
The man who called himself the worst F1 driver ever, and the only one to be run over by the safety car not once, but twice. Really messed things up between 1994 and 95, and pretty much wrecked any chance of racing competitively anywhere else. After his time in F1, he made a brief switch to sports cars in Japan, where he obviously didn't do much. After that, he finally hung up his helmet in '99, much to the relief of drivers, marshals, and anyone who could possibly work within 100 meters of him. But if you watched my video about him, you know that while Inouye truly had zero skills behind the wheel, his only real talent was off the track. He had a knack for persuasion and negotiation like no one else. That's why he moved to Monaco, where he's been managing the racing careers of Japanese drivers ever since. And with all the tricks and people he's fooled during his racing career, I kinda trust him to do the same for other young drivers. On top of that, Inouye spends his time posting on Twitter about whatever pops into his head, keeping a close eye on everything happening in F1. He's basically become an influencer. And fair enough, the guy has banter and a likable personality. He's even done a few interviews since. Truth is, with Inouye on track, no driver felt safe. And whether it's dealing with F1 crashes or the wild world of the internet, having protection is key. Just as F1 has introduced many new technologies, from the hands device to the halo, to keep its drivers safe from kamikazes like Inouye, Maldonado, or even Mazepin, you need a way to stay safe online. And that's where Proton VPN comes in. It keeps your browsing private with a strict no logs policy, protected by Swiss privacy laws, and an encrypted VPN tunnel that keeps your data safe, even on public or untrusted connections. It doesn't log user activities or share your data with third parties. And this anonymous VPN servers ensure your browsing stays private while giving you internet freedom without surveillance. Plus, it works on all your devices: PCs, Macs, smartphones, and even routers. You get blazing speeds up to 10 gigabytes per second, perfect for streaming, gaming, or just browsing without interruptions. Over 8,500 servers in 110 plus countries mean you can access anything from anywhere. All of this starts at just $3.99. So if you're tired of shady networks or want peace of mind online, check out Proton VPN today, because whether it's racing or the internet, safety always comes first. Proton VPN gives you the privacy, security, and speed to browse confidently. Make sure to click the link in the description and you will get 3 months free. Shout out to Proton VPN for supporting these videos and keeping us safe online. But of course, Inouye wasn't the only Japanese driver among the Woats. His prodigal student, Yuji Ide, pretty much followed Inouye's career step by step. A pretty mediocre journey to F1, a debut at a criminally old age with a struggling and broke team, and a short career packed with a bunch of ridiculous moments. Actually, Ide's F1 career was so short, it only officially lasted 4 races before the FIA pulled his super license and banned him. But that wasn't the only unbelievable achievement he racked up, because in November 2009, F1 Racing magazine named him one of the 5 worst F1 drivers ever. With all these awards, you'd think that would totally kill his career. I mean, who would want someone like that on their team? But when it comes to Woats, you know anything can happen. Ide went back to Japan, where he started racing in Formula Nippon and Super GT, competing year after year without any notable results, of course. And not only was he not getting good results, but he was still pulling his usual antics, of course. His only good result was a win in a Super GT race during the 2010 season. Well, that was until 2017, where he headed to South Korea to race in the Super Race Championship Super 6000, a stock car series where he ended up as the runner-up with 4 wins and 5 poles. I can't even imagine what kind of drivers are in that series, but that's not all. The next year, he came in 3rd, and not wanting to keep embarrassing the competition, he jumped into the Super Taikyu in 2020, an endurance championship where, honestly, I don't even know how to put this. He won in his category. Yeah, actually. The next year, he finished runner-up, and in 2022, he made his final appearance in Super GT before retiring for good. In the end, Ide might not have been as bad as he looked. Even back in December 2020, The Race said he was a more capable driver than he was made to appear. To be honest, honest, Ide didn't even know English, so it was tough for him to understand anything. Plus, he was driving the second car of Super Aguri, if you could even call that a car. But you know who was definitely as bad as they seemed? Amati's career just doesn't make any sense. Her story is the classic tale of a spoiled kid from a super rich family with no talent whatsoever, but with dreams that had to come true no matter what. Amati spent countless years wasting time in lower categories, showing the world that she truly had no talent, until she used daddy's money and connections to buy her a seat in F1 with Brabham in 1992. Because obviously Amati didn't just want to be a joke in the lower categories, she wanted the world to see just how bad and clownish she was. And believe it or not, she lasted even less time than Ide. After 3 races without even qualifying and becoming the grid's laughingstock, she got kicked out. And then, to top it all off, she would say things like this.
I couldn't qualify with that car. The problem was that they didn't give me another chance afterwards.
No comments on that. After F1, Amati somehow rebuilt her career and raced in the 1993 Porsche Super Cup, where, well, what? Amati winning something? This can't be real. And indeed, it isn't. Don't be fooled. There were only 2 women competing that season, so technically she was also second to last, right? Here was her actual position in the championship. After this victory, she raced in the Ferrari Challenge between 1994 and 96, and again in 98, without doing much of anything, of course. She also raced in other events like the International Sports Racing Series, the 12 Hours of Sebring, and the 1,000 kilometers of Monza, still showing the world she had literally no talent. In 1999, Amati raced in the Sports Racing World Cup, a prototype series with open cockpits. That only lasted a couple of years, but she did actually finish 3rd in her class. But I have a sneaky feeling the competition wasn't all too impressive. This was her best result ever, and it looked like that was enough for Amati, because then, after almost 2 decades of ridiculous driving and no improvement at all, she finally retired from motorsport. She then briefly worked as a sports commentator, writing columns for Italian motorsport mags and doing TV commentary before disappearing from the public eye. I mean, it's not like she ever needed to work in the first place. But if we're talking about drivers who should have never gotten behind a steering wheel, it's the one, the only.
Here's Maldonado coming out of the pits and straight into Esteban Gutierrez, and you're right.
The man known as the most dangerous driver in F1 history.
May well have been, might have been Maldonado slowing. We'll have to wait and see.
The Venezuelan, backed by Hugo Chavez's petrodollars, somehow managed to win GP2, and in Formula 1, he actually won a race.
It's past Maldonado.
But again, don't be fooled. While he could be quick, Maldonado was just way too dangerous. And honestly, it's a miracle he didn't kill anyone. The way he crashed was just unmatched. After years of wrecked cars, dangerous moves, and only a few hopeful moments. With his Venezuelan petrodollars drying up, it's no surprise Lotus ditched him at the end of 2015. After F1 in 2017, he became a tester for Pirelli tires, testing with a GP2 car, probably because they didn't trust him with an F1 car. He was trying hard to get back into F1 and negotiating for a seat in IndyCar at the same time. He was actually in talks with Sauber, but the deal fell through. And you know why? Well, don't laugh. Maldonado didn't join Sauber because he wanted a competitive car. Yep.
It was tricky because I felt I was in a place where I deserved a good car to be consistently in the points. Sponsors wanted a guarantee of results. It was very difficult to find these guarantees.
Anyway, after giving up on returning to F1, on March 21st, 2018, Dragon Speed confirmed that Crashdor would race with them in the super season of the WEC in the LMP2 category. And believe it or not, Maldonado and his teammate were actually competitive. 3 podiums, and even a win at Spa, finishing 3rd in the championship. Maybe this was the right competition for Maldonado. To top it off, in 2019, they won the 24 Hours of Daytona. Wow. Was Maldonado about to become the ultimate endurance driver? Well, for better or worse. After that race, he decided to leave motorsport to focus on his wife and 2 daughters and live a quieter life. At least he ended on a high note. One of the Woats whose career unfortunately still hasn't ended is of course Mr. Strulovic. What can I even say about him that you don't already know? With Daddy Lawrence owning the team, Lance is pretty much the only driver on the grid with a lifetime seat. No matter how badly he messes up, he's been dominated by every teammate he's ever had, and somehow feels comfortable racking in mistake after mistake.
Big crash on board with Lance Stroll. He wasn't even on the throttle, was he?
But what really hit hard for all the fans was saying goodbye to the man, the legend, Latifi. Yep, the man behind this.
Not sure what happened there. The car, it was strange. Anyways, I'm okay.
And this.
Oh, that's another Williams, and that is a bigger impact. We saw in Jeddah, Latifi has hit the barriers, and this time it saw a gap there and just tags the rear of Latifi's Williams.
And one of the few drivers in history who can say he has a world championship assist.
Any more racing laps? If there are, then...
After 3 seasons of wrecking cars and making stupid mistakes, Williams finally realised that the cash Latifi brought in wasn't worth the costs involved, marking the end of the GOAT's time in F1. And while Latifi has turned into a cult figure for us all, he announced on social media on July 18th, 2023 that he'd be taking an MBA course at the London Business School, hitting pause on his racing career for now. Truly heartbreaking. And since then, we haven't heard a peep from the GOAT. Let us all make prayer to see him back on track one day. But let's not forget about the most hopeless F1 driver of all time, Luca Badoa. I know a lot of you probably don't have any idea who he is, but don't worry, I've got a video coming soon where I'll spill all the tea. Trust me, this Woat won't let you down. The Italian still holds the record for the most races in history, 50, without scoring a single point. But hey, at least he never gave up. He raced in F1 from 1993 to 99, and after that he spent 10 years as a test driver for Ferrari, with his big shot finally coming in 2009 after Massa's crash in Hungary. But of course, after 10 years, he totally bombed that opportunity. Like, really badly, to be honest, and he only made it through 2 races before Fisichella took his spot. After that, Badoa stuck around for another year as a test driver for Ferrari and announced at the end of 2010 that he was hanging up his boots after 12 years, showcasing the 2009 Ferrari F1 car at the Bologna Motor Show on December 8th of that same year. Then, Badoa joined a forum for Gazzetta dello Sport, where he said his only regret was racing just 2 races for Ferrari. In January 2011, he made his last appearance with the team, taking the 2009 Ferrari for a spin on ice in Madonna di Campiglio. After that, he's been enjoying a laid-back life with his wife and 2 kids. His son Brando is actually following in his footsteps and finished 6th in the Italian F4 Championship in 2023. And every now and then you can catch Luca hanging out at some motorsport events. And of course, if you thought I'd forget about him, no way. Even though he's so bad, he thankfully never made it to F1. I know you all love him, so I had to give a shout out to the one, the only Lord Mahaver. After his awful season in F2 and somehow getting to test a few F1 cars, Lord Mahaver jumped into the Italian GT Endurance Championship in 2023. And guess what? The unthinkable happened. He snagged his first ever professional podium in Monza. He took it like a pro and looked like he'd been on the podium his whole life. In 2024, he's sticking around in the series with William Alatalo and 3-time MotoGP champ Jorge Lorenzo. It's like legends just can't help but team up. I think we can all agree that most of the time these drivers had zero control and were just causing chaos. But what happens when the real pros lose it? Check it out in this video. And as always, thank you for watching.